And welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. We are in week 8. I'm AVRL, with me is Pixie, as we're getting ready for the third match of the day. Hong Kong Attitude on now a bit of a win streak, just took down AHQ Esports, looking to take down Flash Wolves as well.
An unexpected win streak. Look, we do still favor Flash Wolves coming into this despite that, but wow, what an upset Hong Kong Attitude just pulled off against AHQ.
It's a big one, and it really sets the stage for this next match. And if they beat AHQ, they're going to need to bring just a little bit more against Flash Wolves. It's not going to be a surprise against Flash Wolves, because Flash Wolves, after watching that, they should be prepared.
Now, I think one of the other key differences between this matchup, and it was also a key difference between the AHQ Matchy and AHQ Hong Kong Attitude series. Matchy, not even that, Hong Kong Attitude now have the away side. So where they were able to take, and by the way, here is Hong Kong Attitude, where they were able to take control off AHQ, they don't get to take Flash Wolves willingly to Oasis. And if Flash Wolves go there, it's because they want to, and obviously would have a plan.
It's a harder matchup and a harder sort of situation to be in. Like you said, away side versus home side. Not only that, but you have to prepare different. You have to prepare differently against Flash Wolves, because it's not the same game. They are different teams that function very differently, and we're going to get a quick word from both sides before we get into the match. On the left, we have Coach Ray from Flash Wolves, and on the right, K4 from Hong Kong Attitude.
那个刚刚我们有看 HK 的比赛，那看来今天来势汹汹，那当然我们也会尽全力，不会松懈。
So we just watched the HKA upset against AHQ, and they're doing very well, so we're not going to take them very lightly at all.
最近状况不太好，但是我们会尽力打好每一场比赛。谢谢。
We haven't been looking too good lately, but we're going to try our best tonight.
It's the same thing he said against AHQ, and well, as it happened, their best was able to take out a team that was about to be tied for first place. So
look, if you're not doing your best, if you're not doing very well, but you still you still beating AHQ.
What else have you got? Like, oh man,
is there another gear you haven't shown us?
It's like they play with a champion, a hero that just hasn't even been released yet. Like really secret strats.
Yeah, right now they've only playing with one hand.
Yeah,
not the other one, but one day they'll bring the other hand.
This isn't even my final hand. Wow.
And just a reminder, Flash Wolves are on the home side, Hong Kong Attitude on the away side. That means Flash Wolves get to pick maps 1, 3, and 5, as well as the corresponding starting sides. Hong Kong Attitude get to pick maps 2 and 4, which, like we've already said, kind of adds to the difficulty playing the #1 team on the leaderboard, and also #1 team just based on power right now, as well as then starting on the away side. You got everything kind of working against you, but if you've already upset one team, just upset another one.
So here's the interesting thing, right, as we take a look at these teams' lineups. Before this, we weren't actually expecting too much from Hong Kong Attitude, to be honest, but now I feel we would absolutely expect them to at least take a map off, and I feel the place they can most likely do that is on their first home pick, which will be when they get a hybrid map. And they beat AHQ on Hollywood. Actually, no, sorry, they didn't quite, but they gave AHQ a run for their money. That's the important thing. And Flash Wolves are not particularly comfortable on that map.
I've actually always been disappointed in Hong Kong Attitude for the reason that I expected them to do better, right? And now they are doing better. So this is the kind of thing, because you're saying,
tell us what you really think.
This is the thing, is you're saying like you weren't expecting much from Hong Kong Attitude. I'm kind of the opposite. I've always expected more from Hong Kong Attitude. It's only now that they get the win against AHQ that they're starting to really meet that. And I feel like they should have been able to get here sooner. And this is the kind of statement from earlier, but if they're only looking like a top 3 team now, it's too late to make the extra top 3, but at least finishing the tournament looking good is still a really good feeling.
Well, here now is, of course, Flash Wolves. You just saw on your screens there, Bacon Jack. Without a doubt, the best tracer in the tournament right now. So where Shaolin does get these crazy 3-man pulse bombs on Temple of Anubis, you can almost expect Bacon Jack to get those on every single map.
And look right into my soul, Zonda.
Wow. Oh, Zonda.
He hasn't blinked yet either. He's trying to... there you go.
He couldn't quite hold out.
He's still a human.
Yeah, for a minute I thought
Proof
it might have been...
that he is still a human.
Yeah, I thought we might have had Zonda
Immortal
bot.
after all.
Or maybe he's not. Like, maybe actually just the robot's blinking animation kind of crapped out for a moment, and it took a minute for it to kind of flush the bug out of its system. And then it's like,
Blinking.exe
yeah,
has
yeah.
failed.
And then the robot's like, oh, blink, blink, I need
Would
to
you
blink.
like to send an error report?
Yeah, like, because you saw the moment he started blinking, he actually blinked like 3 or 4 times in a row. Like, that's unnatural. Actually, I think Zonda is a robot. He's a DPS robot.
Here's the hard counter. K4, he was instrumental to the victory, to Hong Kong Attitude's victory against AHQ, and so was Shailin on multiple fronts as well. The triple kill on the pulse bomb, like you said, was one of the key factors.
Should we just do this for every single member? Like, and so was a Ting, actually.
Well, the other thing is that Ting actually had a really tough game because he was one of the members specifically on Dorado that got picked out multiple times, and it was kind of setting Hong Kong Attitude back. But
Jin Kao was there.
We got to credit more that to Cowman's amazing hooks rather than a Ting's own play, but at the same time, the fact that a Ting was getting picked out was definitely
it was
a setback. It was a setback.
And the thing I kind of pointed out with that as well is, look, sometimes he was just getting hooked and picked at the top of fights, but what you don't tend to notice as often is the hooks that don't connect. And look, Cowman has a really great success rate of connecting hooks in general, but was probably only getting about a 50-50 rate on a Ting. A Ting was actually dodging a lot of them, dropping down barriers to stop them up while he was on Winston. So as much as there were a lot of opportunities there for Cowman to grab hooks, take a Ting out of the fight at the stop, and you can look at that and go, ooh, it's a bit shaky for a Ting. Actually, he was probably having a better success rate than his teammates against Cowman, given how good Cowman is at picking people with hooks when he targets them.
Home team picks first, and Flash Wolves are going to go for Nepal. So they are a pretty flash team. Look, it's not telling a lie here.
On Nepal as well, which apparently has Roadhog on it. I wonder if that's a permanent feature, just him standing by that statue doing a thumbs up into the distance.
Yeah, it's... so yeah, not going to take it to Oasis, and smartly so. I think it was Flash Wolves against Fireball that kind of looked pretty shaky on Oasis. So I'm kind of... Doesn't surprise me we're not going back there. And Oasis, look, Hong Kong Attitude just beat AHQ on that as well. Lee Jung, interesting we're not going back there, but at the same time, Nepal, this is where I believe the Flash Wolves comeback really started. They beat Blank on this map, and if my memory is correct, they've also beaten AHQ on this map. So Nepal is starting to look like one of those picks that really favor Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and up until that point as well, actually, we felt Nepal was very much AHQ's map. They just kind of outclassed everyone else on it. I would now say they outclassed everyone else except Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves do just look incredibly strong in this. This is them, no nonsense as they come into this one. They definitely are going to give Hong Kong Attitude a ton of respect. They're not going to go ahead and, pick Oasis or pick Ilios or, what have you. They want to pick a map that they feel they are incredibly favored on. Yeah,
this is not going to be like their game against the Japanese teams that we saw previously. This is going to be a game where no experimentation. They're going to be looking for a straight confirmed win. They're going to be playing Hong Kong Attitude as if it was against AHQ, as if it was against Blank, and I respect that. I respect that out of Flash Wolves a lot because it's them sort of confirming for Hong Kong Attitude as well. Look, this is a team that we need to be careful of.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't mean that AHQ weren't respecting Hong Kong Attitude. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude...
I believe they were.
Yeah, I absolutely believe they were. It's just that Hong Kong Attitude had that benefit of the home side picks. They got the first two, and in fact, the only one that AHQ ended up winning was their own pick of Hybrid. And even then, I feel like that was... Yeah, it was a struggle, and I would have actually... I think if AHQ had have really respected Hong Kong Attitude, like in a more complete way, they probably would have taken them to King's Row, but I feel like the difference ends up being a little bit negligible.
Yeah,
they still won.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And this is exciting because it's a Hong Kong Attitude that just beat AHQ, but not only that, but it's a Flash Wolves that are going to be playing at full strength. All the gloves are off for this one, which is why it is going to be a very good test specifically for Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, the gloves are off and the wisdom teeth are out. Flash Wolves, they not running anything too crazy here either. They're just wanting to play stock standard, as are Hong Kong Attitude.
This is their best. This is the 2-2-2. You want to play Flash Wolves best, they're going to bring the best, and they're not going to let anything go. Hong Kong Attitude have the toughest game, the toughest match currently here.
They really do, and already look at this. Flash Wolves absolutely exerting the pressure. Hong Kong Attitude not getting, he is down now. Hong Kong Attitude not getting any room to breathe in that one. Weren't even able to kind of wheel around and reposition. Flash Wolves cut off their retreat path, forced them into a pretty much unwinnable fight there.
Yeah, and Flash Wolves didn't even need to do too much. They just sort of pressured the ground. They sort of made Hong Kong Attitude back off, put a Ting into a bad situation. Zonda cleans up the kill. At least Hong Kong Attitude in terms of damage control, save the other 5 members, don't feed ults. They give away the cap, and they're going to have to just live with that for now.
Yeah, and they're going to have to try and charge up some ultimates. Picking Realman's actually a pretty solid start, and there we go. The trade back onto Shaolin, but Jongi's out of the picture, so Hong Kong Attitude have themselves a nice big hefty window here. They've kind of forced Sinclair's ultimate out. K4 going to get topped off for health. They're going to have to last out Zonda's tactical advice, though, as it mostly gets blocked up. That was very well responded by Hong Kong Attitude.
And they get the flip over, so, you know, the opening kill into Realman really important. Transcendence from Sinclair mostly ignored. They didn't have to really deal with that. And that's kind of all they really needed. And Attack Visor just nullified out of Zonda.
And they also absorbed the ultimates that Flash Wolves had to their advantage. Now K4 going to go deep or to get Zonda. If he doesn't get much more than that, it's not a big deal because that one pick is really going to open this one wide, especially with the pressure they're exerting onto Jongi here. Hong Kong Attitude looking poised.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Shaolin just goes, all right, yeah, I'll kill everyone, sure. Since K4 died.
Temple.
Yeah, Shaolin Kung Fu.
We are on Nepal. It's not out of it. It's not out of the question. Hong Kong Attitude. This is a great start for them. They had a shaky opening, dropping a Ting early, but now they're fully in control. All the ultimates lighting up for them, including one more coming up from CQB as well. So they're just in a great spot.
That is already the Transcendence out though from Mango Giant. It's a very early one, and Shaolin's Pulse Bomb does go wide. Some good sound barrier keeps Zonda safe in this one, and Bacon Jack's starting to put on the hurt now. As they pick off K4, this gives them a big window. They still have their own Transcendence. Jongi holding on the point, he's not finding too much with it, but he is forcing Hong Kong Attitude into disarray. At this point, Hong Kong Attitude, they really need to look to stall out and get time out of this one, get more time on the point without feeding too many ultimates.
Very difficult to stall out, but they are trying their best here. K4 will eventually go down, so will Jin Kao. Let's just see how much percentage they can get. That's the most important sort of factor here they have to consider. They can get to 80% or more, they'll be in a very good spot.
Just barely past the line of 80.
Despite being behind in ultimates, this just means they have to bleed out one fight worth of ultimates, then come back and win the fight after that, and maybe close it out into the overtime.
I'll be honest, the thing that could change, have really determined this entire game is Flash Wolves capped, Hong Kong Attitude capped back off them, and then Flash Wolves didn't cap back straight afterwards. Hong Kong Attitude got a hold, then Flash Wolves capped off them. So if we kind of get a repeat and Hong Kong Attitude get a cap through here, then they have the advantage in terms of time, and already they picked Jongi. Oh dear, looks like it's set to happen. K4 opening up, doesn't find much because of that Transcendence. Good focus by Bacon Jack to deal with it. Zonda, unfortunately not finding much except CQB off the back end of that. Oh, that's a good one. Good sticky as well, actually. So he took out Mango Jar, which means they should be safe for this one, despite that sticky bomb necking through onto Zonda and taking him out.
Pretty even trades, Hong Kong Attitude as well, though K4 could have probably have afforded to save the Dragon Blade. This would have been the push where you really want to commit out of Hong Kong Attitude, and this would have been an important one, but unfortunately, still have to play into a sound barrier, and Bacon Jack, look at his positioning is good. He's looking for the early sticky, which would really put the nail in the coffin for Hong Kong Attitude potentially.
And he does this so often as well. Watch him catch a Zenyatta and
Caught.
Wow, right onto it. I mean, he does that so consistently, and now they're just looking poised to clean this one up. So actually really great set of fights out of Hong Kong Attitude, but they have no wind in their sails for this one, and Flash Wolves do kind of close the lid on it once they really did establish themselves some control.
Yep, like I said, nail in the coffin. It wasn't even Bacon Jack that put the final one in. Zonda will do that for you.
There was a Winston on that point when the cap went through. He was on the point. He wasn't bumped off the point. He was on the point. In any case, look, he was going to die. The cap would have come through, but that was interesting.
It's just far more calculated out of Flash Wolves. You see a little bit of panic out of Hong Kong Attitude, and just in terms of style, in terms of their responses. A very confident team. Even losing a Ting early, there's an option that they may consider. We can get an opening here where we take the fight anyway. Maybe we can get a counter trade onto Jongi, right? Hong Kong Attitude, they opt for the back out. And it's very admirable because they understand they want to cut their losses there. But like I said, in terms of confidence, a more confident team would probably have gone for the fight. And you can just see Flash Wolves bully Hong Kong Attitude out.
Though we do often, though, see the other side of that, which is teams confident where maybe they shouldn't be, where they lose a member and then commit to a fight that's...
Which is Flash Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Flash Wolves, you're exactly right. They do that sometimes, That confidence for them sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, someone's been booped and it is a Ting. Poor guy, man. Now Jin Kao out of the mech, and Flash Wolves, They just want to assert that first fight loss, and the last one to Hong Kong Attitude, that was just a hiccup. This is the real Flash Wolves now.
They didn't even lose the first fight because they
Well,
picked
they
the
did.
Ting off.
But Hong Kong Attitude did look good.
Yeah,
They got a cap,
Like
is what I'm
this
saying.
is the thing for Flash Wolves. Bully is a very accurate word
Yeah.
here because they can just get in there and take what they want. It's like getting candy off a baby here for Flash Wolves against Hong Kong Attitude, but the baby does fight back. It's a very dangerous baby.
This baby with like really sharp teeth.
Yeah, so you know,
Nip your finger at will.
so a puppy, I don't know. Dangerous
Give-
puppy, either way.
Who gives a puppy candy in the first place? That's a great
Exactly.
fight strike on a Bacon Jack actually. A Ting, hey look there, he stays alive. And they're getting really good damage, onto K-Momo. I'm gonna try and force him out of the mech if they can. They need to turn over a couple more kills here before they can really commit to the point itself. And Zonda getting a Ting kind of hurts their chances on that one. K4 has gone to full retreat as Zonda starts to open up. K4 already finds his Zonda and he's now stuck out on this balcony with no support, gets thrown off the edge, and Flash Wolves. Again, bully would be an apt word.
They just look so much more comfortable here. The game is just, it's their game, and Hong Kong Attitude are playing by Flash Wolves rules, and this is the problem because Hong Kong Attitude are not in command of the pacing whatsoever. Flash Wolves determine this is when things are going to happen. We decide where the engagements are and when they're going to happen.
Yeah.
Sleep Dart will open things up for Mango Jai though, so maybe Hong Kong Attitude can get things started.
Yeah, even if you pick Bacon Jack at the start, we decide. You don't get the fight just yet. You got to wait until he's come back. And here we go, the pressure. Jongi already putting down on the backliners is now going to force a Ting back as Zonda opens up with the Dragon Blade. Doesn't even convert all that many kills just because Bacon Jack had already cleaned up a whole bunch. And Hong Kong Attitude, they've only really got one shot at getting on this point. It's going to be a last-ditch fight.
I find it interesting that Zonda and K4 haven't really aligned in picks yet. When Zonda goes Genji, K4's gone on Soldier and vice versa. So these are the two players that I've sort of noted in the past that to be quite similar in terms of both playstyle, hero pools, and all the rest. So haven't really seen the full duel coming out of them yet. We
Yeah,
might
interesting.
not
You're
yet.
right. And well, here we go. The sound barrier out for Hong Kong Attitude gets them onto the point now. And they actually are in a good spot as they pick Bacon Jack. Need to get a few more though, losing their healer. Really trying to get rid of Zonda here. They're having a hard time of it, but they have at least forced him out of the fight. K4 in a bit of a tight spot, but Hong Kong Attitude are doing nicely for themselves. Jongi will buy some time though for some Flash Wolves respawns.
Good stall out of Jongi. Very important. Flash Wolves, you can see, they just don't want to give it up. This is the confidence
And it's
here. This
working.
is a position where Hong Kong Attitude might decide to give it up. But
Yeah.
Flash Wolves do not.
Yeah, there we go. They do actually get the closeout on K-Momo, so they do get the pick, the cap through for themselves. And I have actually put Flash Wolves into a bit of a tight spot. They don't really have many ultimates themselves here, though, Hong Kong Attitude, so they need to get a lot out of K4's stack visor as it comes up.
Yeah, and Flash Wolves, I believe, are going to commit. They don't even care if they're behind. They don't care what the situation is. They know they're the better team here, and they will try and bully Hong Kong Attitude out no matter what. Here comes the Nano
That
Visor.
is the open up. They're trying to get anyone they can, but Singular with this ultimate has kept everyone pretty safe. And there we go. Once again, Zonda gets the opportunity to open up. Bacon Jack, you know, big backpack Bacon Jack. I suppose that's what we should start calling him. Zonda does go down at the back end of this one, but Hong Kong Attitude, these members that are alive have only just respawned. They may be able to come in and contest, get an overtime, but it's not looking promising. They're trickling in, and already CQB dead.
AHQ did not look this dominant against any team, specifically not in control. So AHQ struggled against Hong Kong Attitude on control. Flash Wolves are just playing with their food right now against Hong Kong Attitude on
Playing with
control.
one hand. Hong Kong Attitude are like, oh man, we're gonna have to put a second hand on the keyboard here, and Flash Wolves still just one hand in it. Do you think they use just the mouse hand or just the keyboard hand? Well, they have a joystick.
Yeah, what you do is you can have 7 people, and each person, you do the mouse on one person and you do the keyboard for the other person. So it's like you both just share a computer. Anyway,
Yeah.
that would be one way.
It's like Cho'Gall, but it's 6 people. You need 12 people to play Overwatch. That would be really entertaining, actually. Someone needs to run that tournament where you just have like 12 aside Overwatch, and like one person has the
And
mouse, one person has the keyboard.
We're still not going to see the mirror matchup from K4
Yeah,
and Zonda.
wow.
They go opposites. They just, if you're going to play Soldier, I'm going to play Genji, but we don't even know. This is not coordinated.
Yeah,
yet.
it's
We
like, I don't
plan
know.
this.
Are they in like a private Discord channel? Like, all right, I'm going to swap. Okay, yeah, I will too. Like, they wouldn't dare be compared directly, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Only
wow.
indirectly.
Again, a Ting dies at the top of this. I've said this before, you could make a drinking game out of this. Drink every time a Ting dies at the start
Oh,
of the fight.
you might suffer from alcohol poisoning, unfortunately.
Yeah. You
So
just
this is a big difference now. When we watch Shrine, a Ting dies, Hong Kong Attitude pull out successfully. on Village now. A team dies, it turns into a huge wipe. So Hong Kong Attitude are slipping further and further down. And in terms of confidence, it's not like Hong Kong Attitude are accepting that a team will die and they want to go for the counter trades. They can't even get counter trades. They're either going to wipe or they can cut their losses in both of those situations. It's kind of like a lose-lose.
And they're really not contesting the ground that Flash Wolves is taking, both at the start of these maps and then immediately afterwards.
There you go.
Ooh.
Pulse bomb alive for...
Oh dear.
Yep, well there it is. The pulse bomb does come out. Actually,
And
K4
suddenly
got
they
a
just turn
decent
it back
amount of
around.
kills.
Yeah, look at that. K4 did get a couple, but Bacon Jack... Zonda actually unfortunately taking a dive there, but Bacon Jack is kind of keeping this one on lockdown. Hong Kong Attitude, for the kills they got, they didn't actually get close to the point. And like I said, it's this failure to contest the ground itself that is costing them here. It's not necessarily getting the kills or not getting the kills.
3 fight turn, Hong Kong Attitude, the lights start to turn on, the ultimates start to become available, and I expect the big commit to finally come on through. But K4 had decent success with Dragon Blade against AHQ. We'll see if he can repeat that. And
Nope.
he cannot
Never mind.
repeat that.
They nearly got Singler as well. It did force out his Transcendence, but good job by Flash Wolves to commit right then to kind of open out the fight, and picking off K4 was a great way to do that. The trades are starting to come through here though. Hong Kong Attitude did get Jongi, and now picking out Zonda has been good. It is very interesting. The respawn has actually come through for K4, so they can probably keep this fight going if they so choose. Shaolin is actually going ahead and contesting that ground like I was just talking about. He's trying to deprive it from Flash Wolves.
Cap flip.
The cap does indeed flip, and actually they got the members kind of set up on it. Oh, hold on, Flash Wolves, they're not done just yet.
Wow,
K4
twice in a
twice,
row.
son. Ouch.
That is really tough. I mean, I feel sorry for a team, but when you use a Dragon Blade like
Yeah.
that, you just get rolled even further. I don't
Good
know.
pick onto Zonda there, and a sound barrier for Hong Kong Attitude is actually giving them a lot more room to breathe in this one. Flash Wolves actually looked like they were in a really good spot there, having picked K4, and they still had a good run of ultimates up, but all they're really doing now is kind of trickling on, feeding kills over to Hong Kong Attitude and just letting the clock run.
Yeah, well, it works in the favor of Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah.
Hong Kong Attitude will be happy to take the fight. They'll be happy to take the stall. And Flash Wolves, they'll cut their losses and make sure they charge up a couple of extra ultimates. They do come in with an advantage for the next fight. 75% isn't the same as 80 or 85%, but it will be enough to really force Hong Kong Attitude into panic mode again.
That sticky just barely went wide from Shaolin, and Bacon Jack's about to have his. K4 just wants to get a Dragon Blade, man, and he's already been picked out of this one. Good focus by K-Momo. That is Jongi really trying to wreak havoc on this backline. It's absolutely working. Even if he goes down here, he forces the ground, and Hong Kong Attitude, again, they weren't able to contest the ground itself because they were too busy being smacked about by Jongi, and Flash Wolves get the cap with a ton of ultimates in the pocket.
Yeah, minimal committed there. Only Jongi with the Primal Rage. If you can win just with the Primal Rage, that's quite a lot you have to work with afterwards. Now we head on to the 85. This is where Hong Kong Attitude, the desperation begins to set in quite rapidly from the 90% marker onwards.
Yeah, already Shaolin trying to get on to contest it a little bit, and they are going to need to get a big contest, but Zonda opening up. He only gets Jinkow with the Tactical Visor, but that may be all they need. Never mind, the trade's back, starting to come through. Hong Kong Attitude do need to put themselves onto this point here and convert a few more kills. K-Momo going to zone them for a second, and Bacon Jack getting a few key ones. No one's touching the points. Oh no, they just let it go away, and even then, Bacon Jack had the sticky. Hong Kong Attitude, unfortunately not able to pick up any maps.
It's laughs and smiles from the Flash Wolves camp, but they're thinking, man, how did AHQ lose to this?
Brutal, man, but honestly, they may just be wondering that, and I bet you AHQ will be sitting there watching this wondering the exact same thing. Not that Hong Kong Attitude look really bad, mind you, it just looks like they're outclassed by Flash Wolves, and to be fair, AHQ looked outclassed by Flash Wolves last time they met.
Which is crazy because Flash Wolves are now looking like they're in a league of their own. This should not have been a wipeout at this level because I don't know. It's almost a question now of did Hong Kong Attitude just look good against AHQ? Are they actually not as impressive as we once thought? Flash Wolves are just so unreachable. Flash Wolves level is just so high right now that you can't match them.
Maybe. That was, though, on Nepal, which, like we said, was what Flash Wolves first took off AHQ the last time they met, and did so similarly resoundingly. It's hard to actually gauge a relative level there, because if my memory doesn't fail me, I don't know what don't was in there. Anyway, if my memory serves me correctly, AHQ also did not actually get a map when they last met Flash Wolves on Nepal.
And yeah, look at this as well. If you're Hong Kong Attitude and you wanted to bring out the full force of Flash Wolves, you wanted to see the real Flash Wolves, they brought the full Flash Wolves here. This is as tough as Flash Wolves get. This is not a Flash Wolves that's going to do a Torbjorn Orisa against you. This is not a Flash Wolves that is going to bring out the triple DPS from K-Momo. They're going to bring out the absolute best lineup. They're going to bring out their top of the line composition, strengths, whatever have you. They've done that, and Hong Kong Attitude are not ready.
Yeah, like we said, they're not going to muck about. You know, they know that Hong Kong Attitude have already done one upset tonight. You do not want to be the team that is the second upset in a row. I mean, even upset aside, you wouldn't want to lose to Hong Kong Attitude, take notes AHQ. So this is completely unsurprising. The real test, I think, though, I mean, I'm not too surprised at how dominating Nepal looked, but I still think that may just be a little bit of an outlier, even for Flash Wolves. The real test is going to be how Hong Kong Attitude do on Hybrid now, which is going to be their pick. I'm curious to see what they pick and then how they play it. And then even if they do pick up wins there, at some point they have to win on one of Flash Wolves' picks if they actually want to win the series itself.
Absolutely, and if you've earned Flash Wolves respect, which you have, you forced out the best version of Flash Wolves possible, you still need to bring a little bit more to the table to actually beat them, and it's even harder compounded by the fact that you're the away pick. So yeah, you have to bring out something big on Hybrid, because you're gonna be about 2 maps down pretty soon if you're not careful.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And that was the exact situation that AHQ found themselves in. The only difference, funnily enough, was actually, no, that's a lie. I was going to say was they were taking each other's map pick off, but that is a lie, because Hong Kong Attitude got the first one, AHQ got their own one in response, and it wasn't until we went to Dorado, which was AHQ's pick, that Hong Kong Attitude secured it, so never mind all that. But again, the precedent is still set there that Hong Kong Attitude at some point do have to take a map off Flash Wolves. It's not going to be Control, and that leaves a lot less available. Plus, they actually have to win their own pick, so there's still a good number of questions about this, and Ting also just needs to stop dying. Please.
Again, I don't know if it's him dying or more so everyone picking him out, and
they just want to make him look as bad as possible.
That's the difference here, and it's a 50-50 thing, and it's a little bit of both from both sides.
Yeah.
What the good news is for Hong Kong Attitude, what they have done well is they have found ways and options to take down Zonda and at least nullify Zonda's effect, which has been good, specifically Zonda on Soldier, not so much Zonda on Genji, unfortunately. Now, the reverse is kind of happening where, unfortunately for K4 and Genji, he was effective against AHQ, ineffective would be the correct word against Flash Wolves. 2 Dragon Blades in a row, absolutely nothing, consistently being picked out, just no opportunity. No impact, no effect.
And that's kind of interesting. I feel like that's part of what's driven the swap for both of them, actually, K4 onto the Soldier and Zonda onto the Genji. And this is, once again, this is Hong Kong Attitude, who just took out AHQ, who have Dizzy with his Soldier. So it's not too surprising that they're able to deal with Zonda Soldier. They've just dealt with a similar thing, arguably an even stronger Soldier player. So I actually think that is, again, a mark of Flash Wolves giving this respect. They went very quickly, look, the Soldier's not going to work. They figured that out. We're just going to hurt ourselves if we do that.
But
Let's get onto the Genji.
The continuation of that is essentially, maybe you found an option, you found a solution to dealing with Zonda. You haven't found one for Bacon Jack, because the guy was still in full control.
Was
at
unopposed.
all times. Unopposed is pretty accurate. And look, you said it yourself, big backpack Bacon Jack is exactly how it looked.
And look, Shaolin does still have his own moments of brilliance where he is unopposed, but it isn't happening as much as Bacon Jack. We're also not really seeing them have those full-on 1v1s. I am glad that we're not, because I honestly think that just wastes the time of both Tracers, regardless as to who wins it. But it does seem that Bacon Jack is just able to go off a little more consistently than Shaolin, and I think a lot of that is the ground that Flash Wolves give themselves and how it continues to go uncontested.
It also looks like just Flash Wolves don't need as much to win. You see them win a fight off a single Primal Rage. That's not something Hong Kong Attitude can do or have done. They need so much more to get their wins, and they'll need more if they want to win this as well. Numbani is the pick out of Hong Kong Attitude. It's an interesting one, I guess. Sure, why not? I mean, the Flash Wolves have had some rather potentially questionable moments on Numbani. A recent one against Detonator probably comes to mind, but it's hard to use that as evidence, because these are all games where you look at Flash Wolves and they are experimenting, they are doing things where they wouldn't do against teams like AHQ and Blank, and now Hong Kong Attitude.
They'll play serious, and we already knew that from the top of this. I still find this an interesting pick though, because again, Flash Wolves did beat AHQ on Numbani here. They've if I'm not mistaken, beat Blank on Numbani, which was previously a great map for Blank. When they beat AHQ on it, it was looking like a great map for AHQ. And Hong Kong Attitude have opted into this. Either they've got a plan, or they are way too brave and overconfident.
I would say they have a plan.
They must, surely.
This is definitely a plan, and I was going to say you are playing Numbani against. Actually, one of the things I've noticed about Numbani for Hong Kong for Flash Wolves in particular is they kind of struggled on Numbani against Blank in the past. And I understand Blank are not in the greatest spot at the moment. Maybe Blank are on a bit of a comeback. We'll find out. But this is where Flash Wolves have looked kind of weak in the past against several different opponents.
It is. You're not wrong. And maybe the Hong Kong Attitude have spotted something exploitable in that. And, well, that could be all the difference here. And this is interesting coming out the gate. I think this is Hong Kong Attitude opting to defend first.
But, you know, even as far as whenever we go back to round robin 1 results, got to take it with a grain of salt because that was a different version of Flash Wolves. Hong Kong Attitude have gone up to the waiter and said, we want the best version of Flash Wolves, and they got exactly that.
Yeah. Chef special, please.
It's like food that bites your back.
Like, you can eat octopus, where like the tentacles are still moving.
Yes.
And there is a number of people, a very small number of people, but still a number of people each year that actually die from that because it gets like stuck to their throat.
Oh yeah, because of the suction cups or something.
Yeah, because they still work. And there's a similar thing. So that's food that bites back. And there's a similar thing you can eat. It's like a kind of I don't know, it's like a small kind of sea creature again, but you eat like a large number of them and they're quite small. You can also eat live grubs, live worms. Apparently they're tasty.
Flash Wolves are looking to eat a bit of Hong Kong Attitude though at the moment. They're just kind of devouring
looking to gobble them up. Look at that health.
And as much as we say that Crappy has been bringing out the Torbjorn a lot, he's really coming into that. I think Realmint's had a pretty good Torbjorn as well. And Flash Wolves have really adapted to this Torbjorn style. And obviously, because this is a really important game, so I'm not going to bring out any Orissas or anything weird. This is going to be a standard gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. Good pressuring by Hong Kong Attitude, but good reaction. Good reaction actually by Flash Wolves to kind of wheel around. They managed to keep Zonda alive when he was extremely low, getting some good responses now. That being said, K4 has gone fairly uncontested on this high ground, aside from K-Momo just then, who has now lost the mech. They can hold on to this spot, and they give themselves an opportunity to start really getting onto this point, but not if you go for a 1v1 against Zonda and lose it. Never mind.
They still need to cap the point. We haven't even seen a single third out, which is very disappointing from Hong Kong Attitude. For all that they got out of their initial push off, for all the kills they got, by the way, Flash Wolves got the counter picks. As long as Flash Wolves are getting trades, it's working in their favor because the defensive storm distance is so much better.
It absolutely is, and you know, even these pulse bombs picking out Realmint, the turret still got the return kill onto Shaolin, so Hong Kong Attitude actually set themselves...
poetic justice?
Yeah, they set themselves up fairly nicely. And actually in a good position. Then they started overcommitting, I feel, and actually put themselves in a worse spot than a moment ago.
K4 had a pretty decent position. Then he jumped off the high ground to assist with the cap. It's not really his job, but I see they wanted the 130 anyway, so sure, I can sort of go with that. But as soon as he went on the high ground, Zonda came out and just sniped him.
And if he'd stayed where he was, he would have actually had Mango Jai in the pocket, whereas Zonda did not have Synchlas, so Zonda would have had to commit onto K4 or actively avoid him until the rest of Hong Kong Attitude had regrouped. Here is the same thing again now, Hong Kong Attitude aggressing in this corridor.
But it got woken up.
Yeah, the wake up straight away, Zonda with that one, and Zonda's getting forced a long way back, but it's not really doing anything. He's still going to be able to get this tactical advisor out, picks up the gorilla in his face, and now Mango Jai getting well pressured out from this one. That's going to be the pick up from Jongi. Flash Wolves, they do had to commit their entire run of ultimates for that one, which is a little unfortunate, but honestly, Hong Kong Attitude committed a lot of their own.
And Hong Kong Attitude have to reset again. Jin Kao has to suicide just to get back to his own base. We've lost a decent amount of time, and that's a stagger kill as well, which is going to cost Hong Kong Attitude even more time, and time is getting very scarce. They've tried a lot of different things here. They had some minor success, but nothing to show for it. Like, you want at least a third here, if not two thirds, to get things moving.
And really, Flash Wolves are now on track for a full hold. They've got this Molten Core coming up, and it's actually really hard to fight through on its own.
It's a good enough ultimate that it's damage and it also stalls, so it's defensively just kind of perfect. And that one ultimate is good enough to hold most teams off.
Oh, Jongi doesn't quite actually catch that full commit up to the high ground there, but Ating is in a lot of trouble. Ating, he needs to not go down here. Yeah, just poking indeed. There's the catch on the turret. There we go. Here's the opening as they pick Jongi, but they lose K4. And the trades are back and forth. It ends up favoring Flash Wolves because, like you mentioned, those respawn distances hurt them. A great biotic grenade keeps Flash Wolves safe, stops Hong Kong Attitude from following up. Look, they've finally got themselves a third, but they've lost a Ting. The respawns have a much longer walk, and Zonda is still uncontested. Looks like they're only going to get a third. And yeah, we are going to get a full hold on the first point.
We haven't even used Molten Core yet. The Molten Core is still yet to come out. Realman's held onto that. Kind of risky, but it's paying off because he's got that option to go now. Hong Kong Attitude with barely any time left to go. You've got a Nano Visor, you've got a Molten Core. So many different options for Flash Wolves to consider. Hey, maybe we'll even see a Molten Core Nano. That would be interesting.
I actually really rate the Nano Core. Yeah, Nano Core. Yeah, I really rate that actually because it turns. There's the Molten Core out already. Actually, it turns Torbjorn into this little like tanky death ball. He actually dishes out a ton of damage with that on him. Here's now going to be the tactical visor to close out the last few kills. And yep, first hold comes through. Only 35% for Hong Kong Attitude. No one's in his sights. And yeah, Flash Wolves kind of setting themselves up for an easy win now.
Shock and awe would be a good way to describe what this feels like right now if you're Hong Kong Attitude. You just came off an amazing win against AHU. You must be feeling great, but going into this, it's like, what have we got ourselves into?
Yeah.
We thought we were ready for the big boys league.
Now you don't feel quite so good.
Not. It's like you beat the mini boss, you get to the big boss, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually under leveled, under geared. I'm gonna farm the last area.
It's like when you think you've killed the boss and they're like lying on the ground, and then you hear like and the music changes like do 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 do, and they come back up. They've got like flaming wings or something, and that's Flash Wolves. And then you're suddenly like, what is this? Where did this come from? And then they kill you in one shot. That's what that's like. That is exactly what that feels like.
Pretty much. It feels like you're just trying to get through Numbani Airport. You just want to land, and Doomfist appears.
Yeah, and
you just want to get to your hotel after landing, but no.
You want a nice holiday in the Nigerian countryside. You've got a great safari lined up the next day, and then Doomfist is there. And he just,
suddenly Doomfist.
Suddenly Doomfist.
Much like the Spanish Inquisition.
It happens to me all the time. You know, I'm out at a romantic dinner, the champagne comes out, the ring is in the bottom, and suddenly Doomfist is there. And then I have to marry him. He takes the ring out of the champagne flute, and suddenly I'm engaged.
He wears it on the gauntlet.
On the fist. Yeah.
He wears it on the ring finger of the Doomfist gauntlet. That is something else.
I hate it when Doomfist just shows up uninvited.
That's exactly how.
It's like Adele.
That's exactly how you'd feel if you were in Numbani now. Hong Kong Attitude. They're kind of disappointed by this because it's Flash Wolves showing up a little bit uninvited onto their Numbani defense as well.
Hate to turn up out of the blue, kill your turret. Oh jeez.
Well, the turret was a spotter anyway, so they spot out Zonda. Again,
that's actually quite a good spot turret when you've got that Pharah.
Yeah. I just realized we did finally see K4 and Zonda play the same pick against each other.
You're right, they both played Soldier, but now no such luck. It's like they went, oh, that was a close one.
Alright, so the first kill going Hong Kong Attitude's way does mean CQB gets to selfishly give himself an armor.
So I always love it when Torbjorns give themselves armor first. Like, armor over here, thank you.
Armor for myself.
Yeah, they drop it like right in front of themselves, and then like your teammate has to try and steal it from you.
But yeah, Flash Wolves were they were very sort of disciplined to not give away anything else here. Second turret now should be going down. That'll open up the push.
Yeah, especially if they can pick out Jinkow here. And good dive onto CQB, gives himself some armor, but it's not going to be enough to save his life. Sinkler down, but that's really it. He did have the raise, which is significant. So actually, a Ting now has an opportunity to strike back, and they've got a turret back down again, which means there's a lot of pressure exerted now to K-Momo, and actually Flash Wolves get repelled.
Which is good. This is a really good start for Hong Kong Attitude. They need a good start to really get things moving along. They've got to get CQB back in, collect some of those scrap shards, and then just make a few more armor packs. Get K4, get Shailin up ready to go, and you should be feeling pretty good. Eventually, Flash Wolves, if they're not getting past K4, they're not really dealing with this lineup very well. I don't see Zonda sticking on to Pharah for long.
No, this is going to be the big one for them. They had to draw a ton of ultimates out of Hong Kong Attitude and then commit the raise after that. That's actually quite an ask.
We're actually getting close to Molten Core, if I'm not mistaken. As well.
They are. They're at
You gotta
99%.
so you're absolutely right. You got to be able to bait out these ultimates. And when you get the res, you also got the sound barrier as well. And that's a good
That's the
combo
Molten
to
Core.
use.
They do pick up Mango, but they're probably not going to be able to commit much further after that because of that Molten Core, so that pick won't mean much. He'll be able to rejoin the team. They're going to open it up now. Shaolin trying to go sky high for Zonda of all people. They do actually manage to pick him off even as CQB's turret goes down. Unfortunately, the trade does come in, but Flash Wolves, instead of throwing an ultimate, they actually threw in the res there as well. And there's still some ultimates available for Hong Kong Attitude. Now here is going to be the Tactical Visor. Gets K-Momo. The one he needs to get though is Zonda. Zonda does still have that Rocket Barrage, can get a lot for it. And K4 is committed to the low ground here. Still need to prevent that third. Zonda gets one. He gets the mech as well, and CQB's out of the picture. This could be them pushing it through at last. Getting Jin Kao at the back end. Mango Jai can't really contest, and Shaolin, that is going to be it indeed. Shaolin, the last man standing, going to get taken down. Valiant effort out of Hong Kong Attitude, and I'm going to be honest, there was a moment I did think they might even full hold without giving up a third at all. But Flash Wolves, they did play that very, very well at the end.
You just see how calculated Flash Wolves had that as well.
Yeah.
I was sort of looking at the health bars of Hong Kong Attitude just to see where and when Zonda was going to strike. So Ting went down fairly quickly, and then you see Jin Kao's mech just disappear. And that's going to be, you'll actually see it for yourself here. This should be that final play.
Yeah, and this was really crucial. I mean, this was the one big resource they still had. K4 not finding Zonda with his Tactical Visor was really the closeout for Flash Wolves. Had that actually happened, I don't actually know if Flash Wolves would have been able to push that one through. So it's interesting that it came down to something so tight. I mean, granted, it wasn't in overtime just yet, but even so, Hong Kong Attitude can still take some real positives away from that, I feel.
Yeah,
they didn't get first capped.
What would have been the final result out of that? If Hong Kong Attitude managed to first hold, that would have been a draw, because there's no time bank for that, so it would have just been a draw.
No, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have, because they had actually kept a third. They would have technically won. So Flash Wolves, yeah, if they'd not kept that third, then it would have been a draw.
You're right. That's true.
So that's the thing. That's actually what it came down to. And like I said, they did kind of come close, even though there was still time on the board. I mean, at that point, Flash Wolves had already thrown in everything, that already committed the res. Hong Kong Attitude had a little bit left in the tank, and it just didn't quite catch the right people. Whereas by comparison, the last thing Flash Wolves really had for that one did catch the right people. If it hadn't, or if Zonda had gone down, actually Hong Kong Attitude, they would have had time to rally, they would have had time to reset, and Flash Wolves wouldn't have had time to charge up a similar battery of ultimates.
Tough road for Hong Kong Attitude. It's like you're just starting to get. It's like when you're out for your morning stroll in the car, maybe, or something like that. And
out for my stroll in the car, yes.
Something like that. You're walking. You're carrying your car under your arm. And you're walking along with it in a stroll, and you get past the first.
You put the car in the pram in the stroller. You go out for a stroll. Yeah, you're like little cars, like beep beep. You're like shh.
It's like if you play Heroes of the Storm and you're playing Cho'Gall and he carries the horse.
Yeah. That's got to be the best part of that game, really. It's something about that really gets you, doesn't it? Just the carrying the horse. Wow. Okay, so I want to know where you were actually going with that analogy.
Essentially, it feels like you just got past a huge hurdle with AHQ and you just hit a massive brick wall after that, because this game should not be this hard for Hong Kong Attitude. You just beat the second best team in the tournament based on the ladder rankings. The first team shouldn't be that much further ahead, but they just are.
I'm kind of going to disagree purely on Flash Wolves specifically, their game against AHQ, which once again was a case where Flash Wolves, I feel, outclassed AHQ a bit. But at the same time, look, AHQ should have studied that and recovered from that and figured it. Like, I would like to think that if they met again, AHQ wouldn't be quite so outclassed. But if anything, this is actually evidence that maybe they would be. Maybe Flash Wolves really are just a cut above the rest.
They are, and I've sort of heard from AHQ as well. They know where their weaknesses are, and flexibility is one of them. And flexibility is a weakness.
They can't touch their toes.
Is the reason the flexibility is a weakness is because they don't have the solid DPS pickouts. Look, they just don't have a superstar Tracer player like Bacon Jack on their team. They just don't have someone, that's kind of a lie. Dizzy is equally as good as Zonda and Soldier, if not better. I would even say probably better.
Probably better, yeah.
But you got no Genji. At least Zonda flexes onto Genji, and he's quite good. He's very, very good.
Yeah.
And you don't have that again onto AHQ. So AHQ are missing a lot of these factors. They also can't run triple DPS. And if Flash wasn't pushed far enough, they probably can pull it out. It's not their number one composition, not their number one pick. And speaking of picks, Hong Kong Attitude, one more map left to go, and it will be Flash Wolves pick onto Assault. We're going to find out if it's going to be a 3-0, a quick one for Flash Wolves, or maybe Hong Kong Attitude can actually bring it back. We'll find out after this break. Welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship Week 8. We're about to get underway with map 3 of Flash Wolves versus Hong Kong Attitude. And it's looking pretty good for Flash Wolves, and unfortunately not so much for Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, to say the least. And whereas AHQ do feel like they have some weaknesses on Assault, I don't feel the same is true for Flash Wolves. I don't feel positively for Hong Kong Attitude coming into this. Look, stranger things have happened, but I mean, this is probably going to be the toughest of any of the games in this best of 5, and they're already 0-2 down.
Yep, absolutely, and it's almost feels bad for AHQ.
Feels bad,
actually.
man, yeah.
Feels really bad for AHQ because they dropped the Hong Kong Attitude, and Hong Kong Attitude is still so far behind Flash Wolves, who have picked Hanamura. So we're gonna see a degree of different assaults tonight. So, you know, we've already seen Temple of Numis. Now we're going to Hanamura. Flash Wolves on that one. Interestingly enough, Flash Wolves didn't go for Volsky, which was a pick which I kind of thought they may decide to go on, but just taking Sombra out of the equation entirely for both teams.
Yeah, because I think they are actually giving an adequate amount of respect again to Hong Kong Attitude, and they know that Mango Jai Sombra is actually looking quite good right now. And you know, on the attack, you would have to come against that Sombra on the defense. It almost doesn't matter how good your Sombra defense is if the other team's is equally as good or even more so. So taking that out of the equation, it just means you're playing more on the merit of the rest of your team and how well they can execute. And I would just naturally favor Flash Wolves in that regard.
Just preventing health pack theft as well. This is good preventative measures.
Stop health pack theft.
Security measures against health pack theft.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard right now because Hanamura, like all of the security was taken out by Hanzo, and they're not there. They're not there now. If you go and play on the map, there's no security, so it's like, it's really hard to actually stop that health.
Oh, maybe if there was a nighttime map for Hanamura, they'd come back up. And
it's just, especially the dude with like the really huge, what's the huge pompadour? The massive pompadour? Like, man, I love that guy with this like a giant yawn and he smacks into the bell. That dude is a joy to watch.
Yeah, he's got a...
It's the highlight of that clip.
He's gonna wake up. He's gonna wake up with a bit of a headache. Speaking of headaches, so Hong Kong
his pompadour is deflated.
Yeah, that'd be the worst. Hong Kong Attitude got a bit of a headache now, though, because they're gonna figure out how are they gonna take this map. And look, they've beaten teams on assaults before. Like what was the map that? It was Hanamura. Hanamura was the one that Hong Kong Attitude beat Blank on.
It was.
So there are opportunities for Hong Kong Attitude to sort of get something out, but they have so far been so outclassed on both Nepal and also Numbani that it's difficult to consider that as something that can happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but at the same time, that wasn't a time where we felt Assault in general was particularly weak for Blank and especially Hanamura. And if I'm not mistaken, since then they have beaten Hong Kong Attitude, not just on Assault, but I think specifically on Hanamura as well. We're going to try and make this jump. The D.Va should be able to make it. There we go, D.Va makes the jump. Who was it who fell?
Try not to get it. Sounded like either Anna or Sombra, I'm not too sure.
In any case, I think it was Anna. But in any case, yeah, I mean, sure, that is potentially a factor that they beat Blank here, but I wonder how much of that performance is still particularly relevant. It was still a good offense out of them, regardless of
just means they can do it.
Yeah, they can, and maybe they will.
Flash Wolves opting for the defense first. They're trying to make this a short one. They're saying, look, well, you know, if we defend first, we get the first hold. Easy night, fellas. Straight back to the Korean barbecue.
Straight back out to Dragon Boat Festival.
Yeah, all that sounds pretty good right about now.
Get themselves some sticky rice and have a time.
So it's going to be Genji versus Soldier again. K4 versus Zonda, the epic battle between both of these players. So similar, yet
so different.
It's so different.
Like two brothers.
Yep. Zonda Shimada and K4 Shimada. That's the one.
It's the third and fourth Shimada brothers. You don't hear about them so often. K4, oh dear. Bacon Jack, really good focus fire. Good job by Ting actually to A, not be the person who dies first, and B, answer back onto Bacon Jack. It's probably not enough to give Hong Kong Attitude an opening here. They are very likely to be repelled. But, I mean, it's still good stuff in here. With Mango Jai out of the picture here, Hong Kong Attitude should probably just back up here. They're kind of feeding a lot of ultimate charge.
Hong Kong Attitude need to decide what they're trying to do here, because they're kind of half committing to this wraparound, but they're getting stopped up, which, you know, by the way, is good play by Flash Wolves, but they either need to be able to, I feel, really get around and commit to the full wraparound and actually force the commit to actually happen on the point itself and not in this sort of awkward position.
Yeah. I was going to say, and a Ting is still committed even when the rest of the team is backed out. I hope he doesn't die. And there it happens. So actually a lot of time lost for Hong Kong Attitude, just kind of half committing.
You don't need to fight them on that sort of area where the tanks from Flash Wolves just harass you. Actually commit to the full wraparound, get to the position you're meant to go, and then fight them there.
This is an awkward building to fight through now with Jongi running with this tactical visor. Yeah, this nano boost. Now going to open up with Primal Rage. They're actually struggling. They didn't quite find K4, who was able to get Zonda on the runaway. Now Jongi is kind of on the far side of this fight. Gives a lot of ground to Hong Kong Attitude, actually, but they need to convert it into kills. That is all that matters. And now
that's one.
Hong Kong Attitude, yeah, they do get one onto Realman. Good sleep onto a Ting, but he's still going to have the ultimate running, getting trained down, though. K4 in a nice spot here. Has to back off for a moment, and Zonda with the respawn is now answered back. Now looking to route out Hong Kong Attitude. Oh dear, Mango Jai right in with the headshots. This is still anyone's fight, really. It's just going to come down to between Shaolin and Bacon Jack who gets more kills.
Oh, we've already got a suicide. And yeah, there's your answer. And Bacon Jack secures one to the Shaolin as well, which is kind of just rubbing salt into the wounds for Hong Kong Attitude. And it was a good start, because for the attackers here, the run back distance slightly favors attackers. Here comes Tech from K4.
This is very aggressive. I actually kind of like this, because it's not like Flash Wolves had a great amount of time to kind of recover and rally, but it was a little bit scattered. Jinkao wasn't in the fight just yet, and he got taken out straight away, so Hong Kong Attitude just kind of ran down their own block and wasted their own ultimates. They need to just back off cleanly. Please.
Which is not happening, because they lose another 2 members. Remember, K4 just went down with the Tech Visor, and still 2 members walked in hand to their deaths as well. We're already under 1 minute, and barely any ground is taken. The good news is they got 1/3.
Yeah.
So that's something they can work with.
Yeah, it
and
means
Zonda fails a rocket jump, so that's something else. You'll take anything you can get
and Doomfist isn't here, which is a real plus.
Now that's number 3.
Yeah, so Doomfist Shimano. So look, Hong Kong Attitude, they're actually already looking a little bit lean for time here. They've kind of got to commit now. They did back off for a little bit of a moment. They're going for this really long push around the side, but they're taking it slow, and they're giving Flash Wolves a lot of time to get into this building with their run of ultimates here. This is something that tends to work on the first push, less so later on, but they do pick Jongi. So now they've got themselves an open. They're set up off to the side here. This is very aggressive by K-Momo, very over-aggressive, in fact, as he gets forced out of the mech. Gets trained down now by Jinkao. With that third already capped, they can actually get onto this point here. Need to turn over a few more kills just here, and the Transcendence will be able to stall out Flash Wolves, but there is a big window now for Hong Kong Attitude. And they get the kills. Zonda gonna try and stop it up. They've got a couple already picking out Sinclair and Bacon Jack, and actually Zonda's getting forced back. The second, third does come through there. They catch Zonda as well. Here we go. Now they're looking a little bit better for the wear. CQB just barely keeping himself and his team topped off, and they kind of regroup, get the cap. Wow, that was very much down to the wire there. Didn't feel good until suddenly it happened. What was that?
I don't want to read into that comment too much, but you're probably right there in the terms of the context of this actual game. Yeah, for sure. Hong Kong Attitude got a decent amount of actual picks before they managed to get in there. I feel like for Flash Wolves, all they had left was Transcendence attack-wise, and not enough.
It's a very big open. Flash Wolves do not have a Transcendence of their own here, but good block out a little bit late from K-Momo, but it was at least something. They do get the kill on Singler, but here we go. The trades back are in, and unfortunately K4, despite getting a good position with that tactical visor, did not get anywhere near enough mileage for it. That was the opportunity for Hong Kong Attitude to snowball. Flash Wolves have stabilized, and now they've got to hold for 3 minutes.
Flash Wolves read that very, very well. They were set up to defend against that right side push. And the flank push is kind of expected from a lot of teams. It's the fastest way to get to the second cap, and also kind of the cleanest way to get there as well. Now Zonda's about to set up himself. Next rocket jump should be enough. Yep. His favorite spot in the game.
Oh, hello, Bacon Jack.
Even a Meg coming up. We've seen this before. It is effective. And we'll see if Hong Kong Attitude can get past it. It's extremely effective against Reinhardt compositions as well, specifically.
already well set to not catch a break. And look, Bacon Jack, they've got this ready to go to try and isolate some members. It's going to be a Ting
Isolated.
and Jin Kao. Yeah, haha, isolated. I get it, and they absolutely destroy them with Zonda unopposed in this position. And Ting does get out, which is quite good. But Jin Kao.
This is how we're measuring it now, just based on a Ting's living or dying.
Yeah, a Ting didn't die, and Doomfist wasn't there, so it was actually all right. I had a decent
Gotta
holiday.
take the
in
positives
Hanamura.
we can get them.
Yeah, but they'd already got Jin Kao's mech, and then they get Jin Kao as well. Look, they were already on the back foot anyway with the run of ultimates that Flash Wolves had, so Hong Kong Attitude, even just losing Jin Kao's mech was enough to spell disaster for that one.
Still so many ultimates for Flash Wolves. They got the pick of the litter here. What do they want to use? They've got a lot of different options. I would say next push, it's got to be Tech Visor coming out, and then you probably won't even need the Transcendence because Hong Kong Attitude don't have a lot to use.
Look at this, they are caught between a pulse rifle and a cold place with how Zonda is set up, and then the rest of Flash Wolves on this other balcony. Hong Kong Attitude, they're constantly pinned in here trying to get a pick or find something that's going to cue the opening of the fight. And even then, it's really hard to go for it. Yeah, it is a huge waste of time, but they're going for the commit now. Good number of them have actually managed to get past this ice wall, but they need to convert the kills, need to get Bacon Jack. He goes full icicle on the, not even on the point there, but now everyone is in Zonda's sights with that nano boost on him. Cleans up a good chunk. K-Momo commits a lot to that as well with that ultimate. They still held on to a couple, so all's well that ends well.
And that's the difficulty. You break past the main wall, you get onto the top right section.
And the entire team is still there.
Oh wait, you still haven't dealt with Zonda, which is a huge problem. Someone always has to deal with that. You didn't even kill Bacon Jack. You barely made it past the ice wall. And the time is running out. We're already down to about 1 minute left to go. They spend so long waiting and deciding, how do we get past the main wall? How do we do this? Which way do we go? And all that time is working in the favor of Flash Wolves.
And I find it really interesting that they swapped onto the Zarya here rather than keeping the Diva that could dive up Zonda, because again now uncontested between himself and K-Momo, and Bacon Jack keeping this top balcony on lockdown. Honestly, Hong Kong Attitude aren't getting any room to breathe, let alone maneuver.
3 kills though.
Yeah, 3 kills, but I mean, look, the defender's advantage is still always a factor. It's not like Hong Kong Attitude got 3 kills on the point, and again, Zonda is uncontested.
Good news, Hong Kong Attitude managed to get a third. Bad news, we've got nearly 30 seconds
that
left.
third was in the previous push, actually. That wasn't just now. That third was before.
That's correct as well. So
But
usually you'd want to get this third with about 3 minutes left, so you can still spend a decent amount of time getting the other 2 thirds. But unfortunately, we're going to be heading into overtime right now. Earthshatter needs to be able to come out, but you still got to get past the May wall. You still got to deal with Zonda. These are the 2 things that Hong Kong Attitude got to be able to complete.
Well, Shailin's out of the picture, so they're going to have to pull even more weight. They're looking to try and deal with the rest of the team and then force Zonda onto the low ground, but it's just not happening. It's just not working. Already Flash Wolves are getting the kills through. There's the Earth Shatter, and it's good, but everyone's dead. No one could follow up Hong Kong Attitude. They won't even get the second, third. Well, it wasn't as simple as Flash Wolves were hoping for. They didn't quite get that first point hold, but I'm sure they can feel confident at taking that second point.
Even Jin Kao at the end there had to use a Graviton Surge just to delay. It wasn't like a Graviton Surge where if we use this, everyone will die. It was like, we'll use this to just stop the players from Flash Wolves from contesting a Ting on the point, but eventually these players will break free from the Graviton Surge and we can't kill them. Also, we can't kill Zonda because no one has an answer for this guy.
Yeah, they'd swapped off the Winston and Diva, which could have actually contested that high ground a little. I mean, it may not have killed Zonda, probably wouldn't have because he would have retreated, but at least he would have retreated. At least it would have forced him off that high ground. And look, I'll grant you it's not quite that simple. It's not just, oh, pick these things and it'll counter out that position, but they certainly didn't do themselves any favors with the Reinhardt and Zarya.
And certainly Flash Wolves force you into playing dive, but you didn't actually play into the dive, so they'll run Zonda on the high ground, which is hard to reach, and they'll run the main, which means if you run tanks, you're going to have a bad time. You're not going to be able to reach Zonda. You're also not going to get past the May wall. So you have to play dive. And when you play dive, you've now also played into the composition that Flash Wolves are trying to force you into. So either way, you're either going to struggle against the defense that have been set out, or you're going to play into what Flash Wolves are planning for you to play anyway. And it kind of just feels like the narrative, which is play into Flash Wolves' game. They set the rules, they lay out the board, you're just a pawn on their chessboard.
That is a really depressing way of looking at it. But it doesn't feel like that's entirely inept, actually. I mean, to be completely fair, this entire series so far has been played to the beat of Flash Wolves' drum. Now, I think the only slight exception to that, the only slight exception to that was, I think, Hong Kong Attitude actually getting that cap through on the first point. I think Flash Wolves, you're right, ideally they wanted to just hold out on that first point so they could maybe even just get this over with quickly. It would have certainly been an easier spot for them to win from, but they can still do this.
Also, Flash Wolves have one of the top 5 cutest members on their team as well in the whole LPC, so they got to go up against that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't enough that this was just Flash Wolves,
Yeah.
Zonda is one of the top 5 cutest members of any team on the OPC.
And then, yeah.
It's just over.
And then Doomfist is there.
This is before Doomfist shows up.
I wonder if Doomfist is one of the top 5 cutest
heroes in the game.
Yeah, unreleased heroes in the game. You always wonder what other heroes it's going to be. Already Flash Wolves. Yeah, this is an interesting defense. Not too unprecedented. We see CQB pulling this one out, but Flash Wolves are actually having a little bit of a hard time breaking this. A lot of their members are getting low, and they kind of keep having to retreat to lick their wounds.
Flash Wolves are looking for the right moment to pounce here, and you know, just trying to check the flags. But they set up pretty well. Look, they've kind of got the area control in their favor, and it's Hong Kong Attitude, who the defending team are stuck. They're the ones backed up into a corner already.
Well, they got the turret, and that's going to cue the start because they know CQB can't set up another one. They put the Nano Boost straight onto Jongi, and this first point is as good as broken. Wow, what a
Full
fight.
white.
Absolutely
Full white.
Destroyed.
Like I said, this is a team where they're just looking for the
Came over and took a dive just for fun.
This is where you you're just looking for the right moment to strike. Flash Wolves, funnily enough, feel like a bit of a wolf pack here. Like they're just 6 of them come out and they maul you.
They do. They prowl around. They they sniff out your trail, and you don't even know they're there half the time. And suddenly they're just all over you, and well, you're dead. Dead to wolves.
Pretty grim. We're both coming up with fairly grim
Yeah,
ways to look at this.
We're both in bad places
but
in
it's
our
not
lives.
even. But it's not even inaccurate. It is not inaccurate.
What, that we're in bad
whatsoever.
places in our lives, or
Yeah, both. that and also the fact that it's kind of just how the game is. So
yeah,
far.
the wolf pack is back. Wow, here we go. Big open already. Finds Mango, and like I said, they're just stalking their prey, man. They were right around the sides. They were already in position before Zonda even revealed himself. K4 now pressured out, and they're going to do this in one fell swoop.
It certainly
Straight for the neck.
It certainly seems that way, but they don't even need much time, because I was going to say maybe they'll get 2/3 here. They don't even need that. Hong Kong Attitude never made it that far. They just have to get as far as Hong Kong Attitude made it, which is not even
Not
close.
far enough. No, it certainly wasn't. And yeah, like we said, they went straight for the neck, straight for the jugular. Absolutely no hesitation, flawless execution. A little bit harder than if they'd been able to first hold, but they didn't fail to first hold because they made mistakes. Hong Kong Attitude just kind of played it well and then weren't as good as them. Hong Kong Attitude did not cap second point. Flash Wolves, well, honestly, they would have with the way that fight was going.
I mean, is this the biggest takeaway from Hong Kong Attitude? They managed to get the first cap of Hanamura. That's very it's a very unfortunate kind of. That's the best achievement here.
Yeah.
It's not a good way.
Yeah.
It's not a good place to be in.
That is
against
really,
Flash Wolves.
no, that's not a trophy you would put on display, really. Like,
No, the trophy.
took first point Hanamura
No.
off Flash
This
Wolves.
is the way, especially the way you were sort of describing it. Was, well, the team didn't die, and that's the trophy. Here is a trophy.
You get a trophy
which
that
is
says
for a team-
Doomfist wasn't there.
Well, no, it's a trophy that says a team
Didn't die. Oh man, and that, yeah, you're right. It feels like the trophy that they earned there. I mean, a team didn't actually die that one time. I'm going to talk about that really quite seriously for a moment here, because actually we do see Flash Wolves pull out that Mei on the second point defense. Specifically, what they do is isolate Reinhardt and kill them. And they isolated Reinhardt, they didn't kill him, and that Reinhardt was a ting. So like that's a complete reversal of our expectations.
Yeah, it works extremely well. It's actually a very good strategy they employ against AHQ, who they have to run tanks. It's their thing. They can't not run tanks, and because of that, the Mei is so effective on Hanamura. So
Guys, these tanks aren't working. Should we not run tanks? No, we've got to run tanks. It's our thing. It's our thing. If we don't run tanks, then what even are we?
well, like I said, the flexibility is not really there for AHQ, unfortunately.
They get the trophy,
This is kind of-
didn't run tanks.
This is why AHQ have lost to Hong Kong Attitude.
It is.
This is why Hong Kong Attitude are still so far behind Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves can be quite flexible. They can run a whole lot of different stuff. The only thing I haven't seen out of Flash Wolves, and that's a lie, I have seen it one time. It was Nepal, a triple tank for Flash Wolves. Zonda played the Zaya, and that was the last time I saw Zonda play Zaya as well.
This is the last time we saw Flash Wolves play triple tank. So
It was. They just don't need to ever go there.
And like, sure, maybe they even can, but you're right. The important thing is they don't need to. They never seem to need to because they're just winning as it is with this 2-2-2. Now, a lot of teams do still feel that triple DPS is going to be one of the stronger compositions in the current meta. But even then, Flash Wolves haven't needed to use that. And we actually noted the first time they ran triple DPS, they looked a little bit shaky on it as well. But 2-2-2 is suiting them fine. It doesn't matter what is meant to be the strongest thing if what you're doing is a class above everyone else.
Class above everyone else, sitting at number 1, 18-3. They reclaim that top spot after a second round robin where AHQ came out above. And it was a tough round robin for Flash Wolves, but this has been an easy one. 7-0, they've done it. Got the perfect win record in a round robin. And at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if they got another 7-0 in the next, because that's where they're looking.
It really does feel that way. I mean, of all the undefeated runs, theirs has felt the most dominant. Like we said, when they played AHQ, they really outclassed them. When we saw AHQ in their undefeated run, they looked good versus Flash Wolves, but it was hard fought, hard won. I think the only exception to all this has been, it's still hard to gauge how much better Flash Wolves are to Blank. I know the standings have Blank at third, but Blank have been on a downswing and maybe on the cusp of having an upswing. So who knows how that'll go next time they meet.
Exactly, and even when Blank had it, they lost one map each to Flash Wolves and AHQ. We actually had a little bit of we just saw as well, the player of the game was Bacon Jack on Tracer, and well-deserved specifically on Nepal. He was probably the one that really pulled things through. And I guess Numbani as well, but Numbani was such a, I guess, one-sided game. And you didn't get a good chance to see Bacon Jack. So specifically on Nepal was definitely where he shined.
The thing with Numbani, we practically never get to see the rest of the city. Like, you can't even get on the bus out of the airport. Like, you can't go anywhere. You can't explore the city. You just get stopped up by Flash Wolves.
Yeah, it's been blocked.
At the border.
Well, you do actually wonder, because after Doomfist got his gauntlet out of the cart, and then he smashed up the airport, where did he go after that? It's a question, because maybe he smashed up enough in Numbani, you don't get to see it anymore.
It's not pretty. Like, you don't want to go there. You get off the plane and you're like, well, I wasted money on that vacation. Should have gone to Kings Row. But then you go to Kings Row and Null Sector are there, and you just...
I can't take a break.
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's just the worst. Just the worst. You go to Hanamura, the security isn't there, it's not safe.
All right, well, we are waiting for the winner's interview with Flash Wolves, which should be coming up fairly shortly. Usually they do interview the player of the game as well, so maybe it'll be Bacon Jack, who knows. At least it wasn't Jongi, and Flash Wolves will be happy about that again.
They've actually had a pretty good run now of Jongi not getting player of the game.
He did get it yesterday, I think.
I think they'd be happy now to give Jongi a player of the game or two again. They're like, all right, we gave them to a couple of other people.
The way they stagger it out is someone will get it, then Jongi, then someone, then Jongi.
Alternate.
Anyway, we're going to be translating this one over with K Momo.
大家好，我是闪电狼的 K Momo。
我们掌声欢迎一下。
Great hair.
好，那我就来问第一个问题。
Great hair.
第一个问题有点小尴尬，你准备好了吗？
我准备好了。
好，我要问的就是你对于你那个尼泊尔啊，是不小心按到呢，还是？
我刚刚打的时候抓个痒，然后手放下来就按到 Q 了，我也不知道为什么。
抓个痒就不小心按到。
I think this is the accidental death he had.
没有关系，来，那我还问第二个问题。好，就是我们看到啊，闪电狼走位都是一直是高风险的。那你们虽然你们都一直成功啊，高风险也都成功。那你们的阵型呢，是建立在什么的基准或是想法上面呢，才会采用这种高风险？
So you guys done quite well.
是因为我是比较属于那种保护型的 D 吧，我不太。
I play really defensive D.
HQ 的 He 好像刚好相反，因为他大都急超快，可我大都急。
I played opposite to Lazy Titan on AHQ.
重打刚好也是喜欢往前冲，然后去走风险位去点人家的那种。
Zondo plays quite aggressively, so I'm there. I have to play the defender.
我看到他往前，我可以去保他。
If he goes forward, I have to go forward and protect.
但是他高风险就得到高报酬这样子，他很常点掉人这样子。
好，了解。第三个问题呢是分析台的3位帅哥要问的。好，那他就是想要问你说，你觉得HKA 今天的进攻打得怎么样
How did you feel HKA went today?
打得很好。
打得很好，你是要据点我吗
Hanamura says they still did pretty well.
防得更好吧，这样子。
But we did better.
哦，你看下面有人在哦喽，是这样吗？
对不起。
Sorry, he
有
says.
没有在说什么？就是他们打得很好。
对，他们打得很好啊，我还被撞下去。
好了，我们不要为难 Kimomo，来，我们掌声谢谢 Kimomo。
谢谢
Right, thank you very much to K-Momo. Maybe we'll get a couch interview with Flash Wolves as well later, maybe even with Hong Kong Attitude, but that's
Yeah.
essentially it.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to see Hong Kong Attitude's own thoughts because, of course, they didn't actually get that couch immediately after the AHQ match. I kind of want to see how they feel about how tonight's gone.
Well, let's take a look at now the couch interview with Flash Wolves. 3 of the members.
先自我介绍一下。
Hello， 大家好，我是闪亮的G9。
Got Jongy, Bacon Jack, and Sinclair.
我是新客。
是的，就是刚才我刚讲完 Bacon Jack 猥琐之后，他就默默的走了进来啊。我突然觉得有点尴尬，就想说，Bacon Jack 如果这样讲你，你会不会觉得不太开心？
不会，
不会。
不过也不要太常这样讲。
也不要太这样讲，所以我这样讲你也没有很开心，是不是？
还行，还能接受。
还行。这其实是一种夸奖，因为其实目前这3位目前都是有在前500名，没错吧？
You're all top 500 on the
默
ladder.
默的尴尬的笑了一下。
他脚后刚被挤下去。
你被挤下去了。哦，那
And
不好意
Realman
思
says he
那
dropped
这
out of
2位
top
是前
500.
500名，那另外1位不是哦。那 Sinker 其实今天有提到说他今天话比较少一点，但是我特别多的东西想要跟你就是请教一下。对，在聊这个东西之前呢，其实今天下午的时候，包子有做了很多关于端午节的这个一些问题。对，那我们这边也有粽子，所以呢也是要跟大家聊一下就是端午节的话题。那么你们知道这次端午节跟我们 Overwatch 有什么样的关系吗？
He's asking
当然是没有什么关系。
what is the relation between the Dragon Boat Festival and Overwatch today?
应景一下啦，应景一下，因为毕竟这边的粽子呢，其实原本是说你们答对问题的话呢，是可以让你们就是带回去吃，对不对？因为你们等一下打完比赛是要直接回台中嘛。对，直接
So
回
you
到
going
台
back
中。
to the gaming house straight away?
路
They
上
said
肚子
yes.
饿，不然每次大哥都是停那个休息站，对不对？
He's saying if you get hungry,
对
maybe
不
we
对？
can
以前我
provide
也
you
常
some
搭
snacks.，
对不对？现在还在放伍佰的歌，对不对？然后呢，这样子有时候吃个粽子好过年。那今天整体的这个战斗，其实一天下来，其实这也是你们又是一次的1周必须要面对3场的赛事。那整体而言，1周面对3场赛，对你们来说有什么样的困难吗？
Did you find what was difficult about
水土
today?
不服吧，
水土不服怎么说呢？
就很赶啊，就是我觉得赛程太紧凑，就很
赛
累啊
程太紧凑
你要，研究的队伍太多。
研究的队伍太多。可是你们2个应该没差吧？你从头到尾就玩温斯顿，你从头到尾就玩闪光，Sinker 还会换一下。Sinker 你觉得你最近Summer的表现怎么样？
How did you feel about your
哦，自己讲，
performance? Really?
差一点，差中打一点。不是那种不害补包，然后一直让坦克缺血。是送头吗？没有。
Sinclair saying
所以其实我们
Not
现
really
在
well.
现在有很多队友都有拿出 Summer 阵做使用。
a lot of people are playing Sombra.
那
Sinclair's also
Sinker
playing
的表
Sombra.
现其实很多 Summer 其实也有做到相同的事情。那 Sinker 做不到的事情呢，其实别的队伍也做不太到。那整体而言，你们觉得 Sinker Summer 的表现怎么样？
How do you feel about Sinclair's Sombra?
他有时候会常失智，忘了害补包。不过他在瞄准的方面是比别人还要更准的。
瞄准的方
He
面，
他去
says
抓后排的时候
Johnny
抓一
says
个但是他在
Sinclair needs to
补包的
be
时候因为我们要一直
more
死补包
accurate
幸运嘛
with the actual
然后结
gun.
果我们吃到一半说，这补包怎么不见了？然后就被他害死。然后
He needs to remember to rehack health packs after
所以
he's
他
got
是
the
会
initial one.
忘记右
常
键。
害补包。
He forgets to rehack
这个问题在 HQ 的身上，所以是大部分现在 Meta 你觉得有没有人闪光，就是有没有人在 Sombra 玩的是比你好的？
应该是没有。
应该是没有。
You feel like
最好
anyone's got a bit of
目前
Sombra?
唯一最好的
Sinclair says, I think I've got the best
Sombra，
one.
还是会出现忘记害补包这件事情。
没有，那个要 CD 啊，
要 CD
都不用 CD 的、
你就是忘记。
就是都需要 CD。对，那其实你们这一次连续在台北待了3天，其实也是辛苦了一段时间嘛。那刚好碰到的是这是我们的这个端午节，那你们有没有常常在过端午节呢？
这次端午节也没办法回去，因为连打3。
Are you doing anything for the festival?
可
He
能
says, I
然后
don't
这
have
次也
time
没
to
有
go
休
home.
假，所以我们可能就是在
We don't really have any
在
days off.
台中继续混，然后
混
可能上线跟大家讲个端午节快乐，也不能回去吃个粽子。
是，
对啦，我们
是
在公司有吃粽子啊，那还有感受到一点
一点
那个
过节的气氛，
对
真的是
过节的气氛啊
很辛苦哦。是
对啊，
对啊，贝克雀平常有在吃粽子吗？
没有。
是不喜欢吃。
基于粉丝送的粽子，我还是觉得很好吃。
粉丝送的粽子很好吃。那女朋友有拿粽子给你吃吗？
没有，
没有，是不是？那你会想跟女朋友一起吃粽子吗？
我没有女朋友。
哦，你没有女朋友。那
Do you,
Sinker 有女朋友
are you having any food with your girlfriend? Or Bacon Jake says, I don't have a girlfriend right
这
now.
边呢就是端午节，在这边就先跟大家说一声端午节快乐，好不好？
你有女朋友吗？
单身
谢谢他。我没有啦，我没有啦，对我也没有。我们吃粽子好不好？一人。
Essence says, I don't have a girlfriend either, so let's all have some food.
我们就
Just take it.
先吃粽子了。对，那我们今天的访问就到这边先告一个段落。那谢谢大家的收看，那我是阿生，大家我们下次再见，拜拜。
拜
All right, so that was that.
I don't have a girlfriend, let's all take some food. Those are words to live by. Poor guys, man, poor guys.
Pro gamer life. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's Flash Wolves for you. 3-0, pretty easy for them. Next up is going to be Blank versus Detonator Gold. Lots of questions will be answered. We haven't seen Blank for a while. We'd like to see what Blank have been up to. All that and more will be coming up right after this break.